abstinence means that you'll never know what they tasted like. Do you see this difference now? So we're not teaching abstinence. Be very, very careful about this. We're teaching temperance. The ability to take one, or let's say it another way, the ability for a Pentecostal, Assembly of God person, to go to a Episcopalian church, take communion, drink a little wine, and not become a wino. Did you follow what I said? Because I remember when I was there, they taught me that one little drop of wine and I'd become a wino, and that'd be the end of my life. You remember? For me it was kind of hard because I was at that time a Pentecostal minister, and I was invited to speak at the Toro Episcopalian Church in Washington, D.C. Great big Episcopalian church. There I was, Pentecostal, teaching on the book of Revelation. And just before I got up to teach on the book of Revelation, the two, what do they call those, rectors or pastors, got up and handed me communion. I looked in that goblet, and I'm telling you, that was not great use. See what I'm driving at? And so you have to learn. There comes a time in your maturity, you have to learn temperance, not abstinence. For abstinence is for the children, temperance is for the grown-up. Did I make any sense to anybody here? All right. Now, so we're learning virtue, knowledge, temperance. After we learn self-restraint, then we're ready for number 4. Now, I'd like to say we're ready for number 4, but I'd say that most of us are still stumbling around with number 4. For number 4 is patience. And what's patience? Patience is tolerance. Why? Patience is to have the ability to have the tolerance for people who are learning temperance. You didn't catch that, so let me try it again. How many have noticed that it's hardest to learn patience when it's your kid who is diving into the potato chip bowl both hands? Now he's learning, now when he's in that potato chip bowl both hands, he's sure not learning patience, he's learning temperance. He's going to get sick on him.
Not even learning that.
But assuming that something happens and he learns from it, he'll learn temperance to eat one instead of both hands full, you see. And while this is happening, you're standing back watching him exercising patience while he's learning temperance. Did that make sense to you? Oh, there you are. There's the line that goes up. These are 7 steps to perfection. After we've mastered temperance, which is self-restraint, then we can work with patience, which is dealing with others who are learning self-restraint. Now the next 3 are, the 3 I'm on right now are oriented toward other people. Patience and godliness. Now godliness is a word that Strong's translated fear, and I really don't even like that one because there is a connotation of fear like daddy's carrying a whip. You know, fear denotes that dad's got a bat or something, right? I don't like it. The better word for godliness or fear is awe. Awe. What's awe? Well, awe is a constant awareness of his constant presence. You follow what I'm saying here? The fear of the Lord really, I think that's old King James stuff, and it really doesn't talk to us now. The word that I would use is instead of fear of the Lord or godliness, I would use the concept, or translate it this way, to have a knowledge, a constant awe, a constant knowledge that he's there. He's watching everything, and there's nothing that happens except he's right there all the time. Do you see what I'm talking about? A constant awe. Fear, well, okay, reverence of the presence, a knowledge of the presence of the Lord. Right there, that's godliness. Okay? Am I going too fast for you? Do you want to stop and talk about any of this? All right, and we'll go up to the next one. And beyond godliness, we find brotherly kindness. Now, that comes from that word Philadelphia. It's actually translated in the Greek as Philadelphia. It's interesting on that word there, Philadelphia. Literally transliterated Philadelphia, brotherly kindness. How many know Philadelphia is the city of brotherly love? Now, this brotherly love is not the same as the other word love, which is the agape love, translated charity. so now we have to come back for just a minute and talk a little bit about this difference. Brotherly love says, that's phileo love, says, I'll scratch your back if you scratch mine. It says, I'll tell you sing good if you tell me I teach well. It says, you bring the macaroni, I'll bring the cheese. It says, we'll do this together. How many understood that? We'll enter into this relationship on a brotherly love principle. It's a shake hands. It's a scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. I joined the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. Brotherhood, that's the same word. And it means that if you strike, I strike. It means that, you know, we'll go in this together, you know, for getting it, and we'll meet each other's needs because we love each other. Now, brotherly love has nothing to do with sex, that's eros, and it has nothing to do with agape. It's just that we're in this together. We're going to, you know, shoulder to shoulder. Here we go. We've got phileo love. And because of the connotation love right now, and because there's so much in the strange forms of love, a lot of men don't like to have the idea that they love men. Do you understand that? There's a repulsion about this idea. But when you can understand and think in terms of a brotherhood, maybe that would be a better way to think than as love between men. A brotherly relationship between men might be easier to tolerate in today's society because of this repulsion about the swing the pendulum so far that the love is off into some other realm. And so that makes a little more sense too. Now we got the brotherly love, and this phileo love also works with women, you know that, and it could be two girls or two boys or a girl and boy, it just doesn't matter. Now, in the erotic relationship, that's also translated love. That's just between the boy and the girl. That's, you know, you got a sexual attraction and it produces babies. But phileo love is also productive. And it might produce a house, it might produce a church, it might produce this and that. Anything we've shaken our hands on and we're agreeing to do, and out we go. You know, here we go, and we're going to achieve this objective, whatever it is, a raise for the craftsmen. You know, we're all going to do this together. But agape love is a different thing. That's I'll just pass storgos. Storgos means I love my aunt because she's my mother's sister. No other reason. She's in it together with us. Now we're back off to agape, because that's the top one on the chart right now. We've got the phileo love. That means I'll meet your needs if you meet mine. But agape says I'll meet your needs if you don't meet mine. Did you follow that? Phileo love says I'll love you and I'll meet your needs if you love me and meet my needs. Agape love says I'll meet your needs even though you don't ever say anything nice to me at all. See, phileo, most marriages, I'm going to say it this way because I want to qualify it because some of you might be looking for the exception, but most marriages are started by an erotic attraction. How many understood what I said then? Most male-female relationships start with an erotic attraction, but they're nurtured by phileo love. Now nod your head if you understood that there. That it means there's a little poem, I don't know, some of you may remember it. Fishy, fishy in the brook, Papa catch him with a hook. Mama fry him in the pan, baby eat him like a man. Does anybody remember that poem? I don't know whether I heard it, but what does it say? What it means is Daddy goes out and he faces the world with his fishing pole. Or whatever, you know, he outfights the lions and who knows what. Or he braves the sea or something. And he brings home something. Now what does Mama do with it? Well, she accepts it because he's the bringer, he's the provider for the family, you see. Now she then becomes takes what he's brought and she changes his form so that it's palatable, so that it's whatever, you know, and she works it up and fixes, makes it nice for the family. And then of course the baby comes along and he's that's the one that gets the provision. That's the reason that he went out. That's the reason she did her thing, is to provide for the baby. So there's a relationship here that says if you meet my need, I'll meet your need. I don't know whether you caught that or not. If you provide the money to bring the eggs, I'll cook them for you. But generally, marriages start to break up when one isn't meeting the other's needs. And you notice that. He quits providing the money or providing the eggs, or she quits cooking them. Maybe he's still buying them, but she won't cook them, or who knows what. Or maybe she'd like to cook them, but he won't buy them. And that, even though maybe there had been a union in the physical realm, still their minds now start to go off, and finally that cuts their relationship in other realms, and now they're not even married anymore. Sometimes people don't really understand that. Maybe I should stop for just a minute. You see, according to my definition of marriage, which is, I believe, is biblical, people are married when they cohabit in the bedroom. And there are a lot of people who are not cohabiting who still think they're married. Did you follow what I said there? Because, and really that's a marriage of convenience. It's not a biblical marriage. A biblical marriage is, if you'll read that in the Bible and get the definitions, you'll find that you have union in all realms. And when the union stops, you still may be living under the same roof and still have a sheet of paper. But as far as God's concerned, then that marriage has stopped. Did you understand what I just... Or we say it another way. There are a lot of people who are married who don't have the piece of paper. And what that means, as far as God is concerned, they are married, even though they didn't pay the $2 and go down to the courthouse. And people will say, well, they're not married, that they don't have their license. And that's wrong. Well, let me tell you something, honey. Your great-grandma didn't either. You didn't catch that. I said, your great-grandma didn't either have a license. They got together and decided they should cohabit, and that's what they did. And it wasn't but maybe a year or two, but the circuit rider came along and entered in the center of their Bible those facts. Boy, you look like a lead balloon went through here right now. Didn't you know that the first marriage licenses only occurred in 1885? Prior to 1885, there were no marriage licenses. And it was given in Boston. Yeah, Boston. And it was a license to get married because of the epidemic of venereal disease. And you paid your $2, you went down and got your test, and you passed your test, and now you got your license to get married. Do you understand what I said then? And yet people out on the plains in Kansas were getting married, and they didn't have any paper, and they didn't go down to the courthouse, and they were cohabiting in the home, and maybe the child was already there when the circuit rider came through. And he took the papers out, and he took the Bible out, and he laid it down, he prayed, had a prayer over him, and he said, when was this marriage consummated? And he wrote it in like this. And he said, when was this baby born? And he wrote it in like this, and he made a prayer over God's blessing for them. Do you understand what I'm saying? So we've got some different ideas about these things that have to be looked at perhaps at a wider scope than our narrow society has provided us. Is anybody mad so far? Have I said anything? Has anybody learned anything about what constitutes some?
Talk to Grandma.
Didn't hear you. Maybe I shouldn't. Agape says, I'll love you if you don't love me. Agape love says, I'll meet your needs if you don't meet my needs. Agape love says, I don't care. I'll give and 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 give, and I'll give to you and give to you, and even if you don't ever smile at me, I'll give to you. Now, how many know that that kind of love can only come from God? I'm going to say it right flat out here. Nobody's an agape lover. And you're saying, well, and I've been in congregations where people got up on me at that stage. I mean, they got really mad when I said that to somebody. Because they said, oh, we're agape lovers, you know. What do you know about that, Ebaugh? We're agape lovers. Why we love each other, you know, and that kind of stuff. They don't know. They don't have any comprehension of the meaning of the words in the Greek, you see. Agape lovers will give and give and give. And, well, maybe I could say, I'll say it this way. God told me that he's teaching the church proper phileo relationships. I'll wait for a reaction on that. It appears to me you've mastered your erotic relationships. If you don't believe that, look at the maternity ward in the hospital. But I don't think the church is very good even at phileo yet. Did you understand what I said? The church is still babying around and playing with the idea of phileo and trying to master their phileo relationships and keep them in order and meet each other's needs in a wholesome way, in an ordered way. But eventually, according to the Bible, there's going to be a day when the church learns to agape. And that means that when, let's just take a for instance. Let's make a bad for instance. Let's play that the atomic bomb went off and we were down here in the cellar and the top of the house blew off, but the roof was on. Now we're down here and we found out there was a little food and so forth. And then all of a sudden, some bedraggled and terrible looking people that are burned and all come to the door, and they want to come down into the cellar with us to have some of our food. And it's very obvious that those people will never be productive for our society. Did you understand what I was saying?